My name is Dr. Stella Jenny Boateng. I am the advisor in the Office of the Chief Executive of the Volta River Authority. I've been working for the past 36 years after my first degree. So in terms of schooling, I had my secondary education, my ordinary level education at the Nkoko Secondary School, now Nkoko Senior High School, for my ordinary GCE O level. And then I went to Winneba Secondary School, now Winneba Senior High School, for my advanced level GCE. From there, I went to the University of Cape Coast, where I read a Bachelor of Arts degree in English and History and a Diploma in Education concurrently. From the University of Cape Coast, I went to do my national service and I started working. And so whilst working, I pursued a postgraduate certificate in public administration from GIMPA. I followed it up with a postgraduate diploma in public administration, also from GIMPA. I had a certificate in human resource management from Bearbrook College in Bath in the UK. And I also have a master's in business administration, human resource officialing from the University of Ghana. I have a master's in applied business research from the Swiss Business School. I have a third master's in a professional executive master's in alternative dispute resolution. And then I have a doctorate degree in business administration, also from the Swiss Business School. And I have an honorary doctorate degree as well from Institut Universitaire La Grace in Benin. So in my spare time, I like to do the things of God, as I'll say, the work of God. So when I have the opportunity to teach at church, to preach at church, I do that. So I like to study a lot. I also like to pose for photography a lot of the time. So I do that. I like shopping. So when I have the opportunity, especially to travel, I spend some time, shopping. I like dancing. I like dancing to good music. Interestingly, I have a passion that actually, besides what I've talked about, that really links to the job that I do. I have a passion to mentor, to coach, to help people develop, and I have a passion to just see people growing, in their career, in their lives. So that is one of my passions. I also have a passion to ensure that, I have a passion for counseling. So we do that a lot of the times, counseling, in marriage, in other relationships. So relationship counseling, basically, I have a passion for that as well. So anything that has to do with, call it human development, in all facets of life, it's really a passion for me. I have a passion to teach as well. So I love teaching. Yes. So these are some of the things. There are a couple more, but I'm sure it will suffice for now. So my career began after my first degree, when I had to do my national service. And I always love to talk about national service at the beginning of my career because it taught me a lot for 2 years, because in our time we had to do 2 years straight after graduation national service. And I was posted to teach in a school in the Western region, Fijai Senior High School in second year. It was way away from home, but I loved it because it really taught me a lot of leadership, areas in leadership that I needed to, focus on. I had my life generally before then, I have been in a lot of leadership positions even as a young person, and I thought they were eye-opening. But the reason I would always mention Fijai as my starting point is that I went to the school as a national service person, and straight on I had to be giving examination classes to teach. and that was really a big thing. So I taught those who were going to write their O level, I taught those who were going to write their A level. At the same time, I had to teach some junior classes as well. And straight from the university, teaching people to go and write their A level and their O level was really important for me. And so it taught me the fact that I needed to be there as a senior sister, basically, for people who needed my support, to be able to also break, into the world of academia, into the education, and into the world of work in later years. So that is where my career actually started. And I'm so happy to say that, when I left in the 2 years, my students really excelled in their O level, in their A level, and up until today, I still have them as my friends because, the age difference was not too much, so I really made them feel like this was just a senior sister, teaching me. So that is how I began. From there, after the 2 years, I got a job with the then Post and Telecommunications Corporation, P&T Corporation. And in the course of time, the government decided to decouple the post from the telecom. And I was posted to Ghana Telecom. And so I continued my career with Ghana Telecom. I started off as a young graduate at the administrative, setting, and then went into human resource and rose, from that starting point as a graduate to become the director of human resource in Ghana Telecom. While I was the director in the year 2008, the government reform in the telecom sector brought in Vodafone as a strategic partner that took over 70%, majority shareholding in Ghana Telecom. And so there was a lot of, there were a lot of changes, a lot of new strategic directions, but Vodafone also appointed me as the director for human resource in Vodafone. So I also worked there. So I worked in Ghana Telecom for about 20 years. I worked in Vodafone and ended as a director human resource. I also worked in Vodafone as director human resource for 8 years. And I left Vodafone in 2016 and went into consultancy. I left because I actually wanted to pursue my doctoral degree at the time, and I needed a bit of space, and so I went into consultancy, and I actually consulted as a group HR director and a consultant for Glyco Group. So for I think until 2018. So in 2018, November precisely, I got a job with the Volta River Authority as the Director for Human Resource, and then I got appointed still in the Volta River Authority as the Deputy Chief Executive for Services, and then quite recently I got appointed again still in the Volta River Authority as an advisor in the Office of the Chief Executive. So I think that has been my career trajectory. The world of work has actually changed, quite tremendously, because I can still look back to my first day in the corporate world, and I tell that story, and my children and others, they all get amazed that I still remember myself, the first day on the premises of P&T. Even what I wore, I still remember, and all that. But between then and now, for me as a person, this feels like yesterday, because I can still remember. But it also feels like a really long journey when I think about, the many changes that have come within the space in the world of work. Let me take just typically what everybody perhaps will want to talk about, which will be technology and its application to the world of work. I mean, in the days of old, it is all paper. I mean, it's all the big files, you need some information, you have to go to a file, go to the file room, basically, use whatever methodology to pick the right file, read through every document, pick what you need. And even in those times, photocopying was not really, so it's either the 3 copies with the carbon paper, and then 1 copy is on the file. Then you went into the stage of photocopying, which was really impressive for us. You went into, I remember we used to use telex machines to transmit information much quicker, and that was really a big thing. Then it got to fax. You use the fax machine to transmit information. And we thought, yeah, we were making real good progress. I mean, life was becoming a lot more comfortable at work. And then, fast forward, we've come into, and because I worked in telecoms, so telephony, the fixed line, so that was something we worked with. So basically that was great, because then you could communicate. But say, in a couple of years afterwards, it's about the mobile phone. Not just using the mobile phone to call, but even in between. If you remember, there was pay phones, so you go out there in the booth and then you make your call. You want to make an international call before the pay phone, you have to go to the high street office and queue, and you still have to be doing business with that kind of delay sometimes. Pay phone, and then we got to what we called the space to space, where now people were opening communication centers and supporting with fax and all that to at least help with the world of work. Then the mobile phone, and with the mobile phone as we speak today, it's not just making calls, it's not just calling, it's about doing everything. It's about your work life. I mean, you could have just your phone, and you don't need brick and mortar, to sit in to say I have an office. That phone in your palm alone is your office, it's your everything. And looking at that kind of technology has changed the world of work in several ways. Because today, globalization or the world becoming a global village, it's not just a cliche, it's real. Because with technology, with virtual ways of working, the world at large is your space. And especially if you are in HR and a professional HR as I am, you look at resourcing or recruitment. Now, the talent base that you have is not just your local market. You have the whole global village as your talent market. So you can recruit from anywhere. And in the days when, if I asked you to come for an interview, what it obviously meant was that you need to travel from wherever you are to find me, seated in a particular location, etc. It's not really the thing anymore. I mean, it doesn't mean it's over and done with yet, because the social beings that we are, we still would want to socialize. So that is there. But it also gives a lot more opportunity for great talents who may not be physically available to still have the opportunity, to be heard and perhaps to be recruited. And so that has changed the world of work. It means that the competition when it comes to recruitment, the competition when it comes to, searching for talent, or what we call the talent war, has become a lot more intensive because of technology. We look at technology and what it has done in the times of COVID. I mean, a lot of organizations were not used to, or perhaps hadn't even, has envisaged virtual working or remote working. But hey, COVID, whether we liked it or not, without anybody's invitation, just sprung a surprise on us. And we still needed business to flourish. We still needed people to have, their careers. What have we done? Technology taught us that even in the time of pandemics or serious, emergencies, we don't need everybody around at the same time. People can work from any location and still deliver the right results, so long as we have the right tools, we have the right policies, the right mechanisms to to manage, to monitor, etc. I mean, across the world, we have you have meetings, you have conferences, and you don't need to be there physically. This is all part of the changing scenes of career, that I have by God's grace, witnessed. I mean, we talk about even the talent pool. We talk about the millennials who are the pool that you have today. And I keep telling people that in the time when we were in the university, there were only 3 universities in the country. So it's either you went to University of Ghana, you went to University of Cape Coast, you went to University of Science and Technology at the time. They didn't have the KN. Yeah, these were just the 3 universities. And so you come out of school and you really felt hip because, I mean, you're a graduate. Availability of work, yes, because, even if you have to go through interviews, etc., which you obviously had to go through, the likelihood that, one of them will call you was quite high. Here we have several universities today. You have several students, being churned out every year who all have great degrees, great, knowledge. But what it means for the world of work is that competition has become keener. Employers have a bigger pool. The universities and tertiary institutions have a bigger challenge to prepare people who must meet the needs of the market because the competition is keener. And so all these things come together to see that, to let you know that the world of work has really journeyed on. You talk about training, and just as I've said, today you don't have to just stand before the people physically to train them. You can do it from any remote corner of the world, and you can have trainees from across the world. So it means that now, even working with people, you need to be very, very mindful of diversity and inclusion. And diversity in this sense is not just gender diversity is important because now a lot of women have the opportunity to rise in their careers, and they need to be given the same opportunities that will be given to others. So diversity is important. Inclusion, because like I'm saying, now your base is not just your local market, it is everywhere. So, racial inclusion, culture, you talk about age, diversity in age at the workplace. You have the millennials, you have the others who are, belong to other generations. So generational diversity, you have all kinds of ethnicity and all these are important that elements that, the world of work is actually experiencing today. You talk about health and safety, and it's a key element today that employers need to be mindful of, because that is also something that really makes you an employer of choice. People want to see what you have in terms of, right workplace safety, health, well-being, and all the environment, the ambience of your organization. All these things have impacted the world of work, because there were things that maybe in the time past you may not necessarily keep your eyes on, but today people are becoming choosy, and employers are becoming choosy, employees are becoming choosy. You talk about onboarding. Onboarding now can be done from anywhere, and what even goes through the onboarding is not just onboarding the people into the organization, but you actually onboard them even as they remain in the organization. So how you bring them in, how you enhance their experience, how you maintain them, how you develop them, and how you even exit them, whether it is by natural attrition or by any other form of attrition, how you exit them. So onboarding has become an end-to-end process in the whole HR spectrum, unlike perhaps before where, when you come in and maybe you are lucky to have an orientation, that is about all there is to work. So, we could go on and on and on, because a lot, in my view, has changed, and a lot more will be changing as we go along. I think what immediately will come to mind in terms of how we've all had to adjust our way of working will be the coming of COVID-19, and it changed everybody's work profile basically, and so did it change mine. I've talked about technology and the fact that it really got well situated in this pandemic, because everybody started clamoring for technology, and it also really gave me, and for that matter, the business world, an experience to say that you need to always be mindful of your strategy, and be able to revisit your strategy to meet the exigencies of the times. Because this is, for instance, a pandemic that nobody ever thought of, as far as I can say. But it springs on you with all that surprise. If your strategy was something that you had cast in stone, how are you going to manage? Right. So as an executive, as a professional, it's always important to be able to understand the market dynamics, understand global situations, understand the people around you, understand what you have and what is possible, understand competition, and be able to know that whatever the market forces bring to bear, you are able to either stand firm with your strategy if that is what will drive give you a competitive edge, or to align your strategy to suit exigencies of the time, so that you can still remain relevant, you can remain competitive, and you can keep your right talents, your critical and key talents. So those are also very, very important. And I've learned through experience that even employee engagement needs to be revisited all the time, because just as we know and in business school we will all learn about Abraham Maslow's theory of motivation. You must necessarily understand that everybody will not be at the same level at the same time, and therefore when we even talk about employee engagement, what will engage someone is not the same that will engage another. So what kind of strategy do you draw, and what kind of multiple channels do you kind of draw to be able to understand first the profile of your employees, and based on that profile, know what will really get them engaged. I mean, if you have a younger population of employees, perhaps your policies may be directed at something that is really exciting for employees. If you have people who are in between there, what will really drive them? If you have people at the upper stage of their lives in your employment, what kind of, so you need to make sure that your employee engagement strategies and initiatives are actually aligned to the various, dynamics that are happening in your organization. I mean, for instance, another example will be with technology, with social media and all the things that are, the influx of all that today. If you want to still stick to the point where you want to recruit to resource, and all that I know is, let's say, print media, because that is where you think everybody will want to pick, a print media and read to find an ad. The young population, the talent that perhaps you are looking for today, and now it has even metamorphosed into even the older generation. How many of them are going to take the print media and read to find an advert? Maybe once in a while, maybe accidentally they just, come across it. But you need to now realize that if you want to get the right talent, if you want to engage your people, go on social, go on the LinkedIn, go to Facebook, create a career space, in there. Have your business, having it social media, slots or pages where they can also share some career information. Go to people's LinkedIns where you can find the right talent and start talking to them, and that sort of thing. These are things that, by experience, you realize that if you want to just stick to your old ways of doing things, you cannot survive, neither in your career nor in your business. I had always been to go as far as my knowledge, my skills, my attitude will take me. So what I mean is that I don't believe, or I never believed in settling for an average career. I always believe that whenever I got one step, I need to think of what will drive me, what will get me to move to move on. And so I always had an ambition to have a career in the corporate world. and have a career where I can make impact on people, a career where I can be seen as a role model for others and bring them up, a career where I'll have the opportunity to lift people as I rise. And so I think that has impacted me in what I do. So basically, as an HR person, people is the base, but I go beyond just, the confines of an organization that I work with to want to impact or to try and impact other people, outside of just my core job. And so I get involved wherever I have worked. I always get involved in the business of the business. So I do not limit myself to, I'm an HR person, I'll only recruit, I'll train, I'll do XYZ. No, I always kind of create a breadth so that I can always have a depth and a breadth. And I can have that breadth by understanding the business of the business, as I say, the rest of the business. What is the business mandate? What is the vision? What are the other parts of the business doing? What are other departments doing? And how can I support them? How can I also, get their support? And so I end up basically learning a lot all the time, because wherever I have been, I try to go beyond my core duty to learn about what others are doing. And I try to be visible enough with my skills and with my knowledge and with whatever that I have for others to also tap into. And so that is something that I do. And I think for me, that ambition to be impactful and to help develop people has driven me all through. And like I've said, I also have always believed that getting that ambition satisfied is not only about, just doing just what I'm asked to do or what my profession says this is what. I go beyond that all the time to get involved in the entire business so that I can learn from others and I can also give back to others what I have. And I feel that has been very, very helpful to me because I see that, thankfully, by God's grace, I always try to create that breadth. And that helps you even with networking. You get into, know people, so you get to learn from them. They also learn from you. You get to socialize a lot more. And it builds you up, your confidence, your, the gravitas that you bring on board. And it creates opportunities for younger ones to also know that everything is possible. Everything and anything, so long as you put your mind to it, is possible. I wouldn't say no. Yes. Because you realize that in times past, and even now, there are still issues that you want to call whether conscious and unconscious biases. There are things that are called micro inequities. And people sometimes do these not necessarily because they want to hit at you, but because of how a lot of us, or maybe all of us, have been socialized. So people have been socialized with certain stereotypes that this role must be a man's role, this role must be a woman's role, or what is a woman doing in this space? Why is this woman so ambitious? And whenever the word ambitious is used for a woman, or whenever a woman strives to go all out, especially in the corporate world, etc., and ambitious is used to describe this woman, you can feel and see, observe some kind of negativity around the use of that word. But when it happens to be a man who is ambitious, you can see and observe and feel similarly ambition in the right direction. Let me put it that way. Sometimes, like I'm saying, some are conscious, some are unconscious. People sometimes do it unconsciously. Some are visible biases, some are invisible, some are macro biases, some are micro biases, but they are there. So you need to be, as a woman, you need to be very ready to face some of these challenges. Sometimes even in the way certain communication will go when it has to do with a woman and a man. Sometimes the way people may want to address a man and address a woman. Sometimes it's more around how even we as women also, we take some of these things. I believe, and I've always in most of my lectures, to women groups, and I love, kind of developing women to let them have that confidence to understand that yes, these things could happen. And like I keep saying, they could be conscious, they could be unconscious. I mean, they could be visible, they could be invisible. But I believe that the world of work is a genderless world. It is not for any gender, and that is my principle. It is for the best talent at any given point. It is for the best skill, the best fit, the best attitude at any given point. And so, whether I am a woman or, I am a woman, and if you are a man or whatever, it doesn't really challenge me. It doesn't bring my confidence down in any way. It doesn't challenge me in the sense of feeling that I am inferior or I cannot do this. In my chosen profession, I will believe that yes, I can do what anybody can. I won't say I can do what a man can. I can do what anybody can do, or I should be able to do what anybody can do. I should be able to build my skills, to build my knowledge, and to have the right attitude. Sometimes attitude is, I say attitude is everything. Because if you also have all the skills and you don't have the right attitude, you give people that opportunity to kind of decide for you. And you need to build your personal gravitas and your personal brand. It's very important, because if you don't, people will, create that brand for you. You need to have values, and you need to believe in your values and to stand by those values. And you need to have values that are, that can stand the test of time. So people know you for what you stand for. People know you for what you can do. People know you for the skills that you have. People know you for your expertise. People know you for the opinion that you share. People know you for your confidence. People know you for what you bring to the table. And for me, if you're able to build that confidence in women and let them feel that, yes, for me, the space in the corporate world is for any great talent, then I think that gradually, I know we've made a lot of strides, but perhaps we'll be making a lot more strides in trying to erase as much as possible, if you can erase or minimize to the lowest, point, this issue of this is a woman, so I need this job, it's a man who can do it. You take this young lady, yes, she's smart, she's brilliant, but in the next couple of months she's going to get pregnant and I have to struggle with 3 months, 4 months maternity leave and all that. We must get to the point where we conscientize people to understand that that is not a reason to deny a smart lady a rightful place in the world of work. When it comes to challenges, if there's anybody who says that he or she hasn't faced any challenge in life, then I don't know. I have faced many challenges in life and in my career, and not so much because of, maybe specifics, but let me just generally, you work in a business, like I'm saying, at the top level, you're always looking at certain parameters to ensure the success of your business. And daily, you are thinking and scanning through your mind, trying to find where you get the right resources and take the right decisions, at the point when you need to take the decisions. And things can be challenging. You ask yourself, if you should wake up in the night, what is the first thought? Is my business doing well? Have I done this right? Have I done that? But so these are challenges that, at a very top level, you are always faced with. But there are also other challenges when it comes to, let's say, professionally as an HR person. You are dealing with people. And if, people, I always say that technology rules the world today, but it is people who make it happen. So if you have people who have a certain mindset that, this is the way we want to go, and you think that maybe with modern dynamics or, new business situations, this is how it has to go. How to even bring the people along, make them understand, trust you, appreciate what you, and be motivated enough to go along with you. It's a huge challenge, because the person who must have, praised you today, tomorrow, if it doesn't go the way he or she wanted it to go, may want to, say, no, I wish I could, withdraw my praise. But at the same time, as a professional and as an executive of this level, you take decisions based on a very good mix. The people, the business, the environment, your finances, all your other stakeholders, your shareholder, and everything. So you take decisions based on all these factors and making sure that you are relatively satisfying all these, categories of people and call it colonies that you have, right? And those decisions sometimes can be very tough decisions. You may not end up pleasing everybody based on the decision, but it may be the right decision at the right time. So you need to know how you communicate that decision to bring understanding, not necessarily total acceptance, but to bring understanding and let people gradually warm themselves into that decision to know that it is for the good of each, of the colonies that make up the business. Because without the business, we may not have, people having the opportunity to feed their families and all that, and then, even realizing their career ambition. But without the people also, the businesses can also not run. So that's kind of, alignment and bringing the synergies to make sure that everybody is a part of the whole is really, really important. And it can be challenging. I mean, it's just said, as we say, it's easier said than done. But when you want to do it, you have to do it. And when you have to do it, you must do it with the mindset of, this is the right thing to do at this point in time. And so those are some of the challenges that we kind of battle with, by the day. But thank God we are still surviving. As a director HR, when I joined BRM, director HR, and before then I had actually been a director HR for several, like 18 years before I joined BRM. So I had been a director of HR all through from the year 2000 up until I joined BRM 2018. So I was quite well versed in the director HR role before I joined BRM. And so, I think that is really pretty straight. I think you're looking after the people's strategy and the people agenda of the business and trying to draw initiatives, policies, procedures, processes, etc., to ensure that you are driving the people, the workforce, in a way that will grow them, develop them, and also meet the strategic direction of the organization. So it has to do, HR always has to do with how you bring the right people in to fit into the right places, and how you do it, different, modes of bringing in, how you build. So basically in HR, one key strategy will be, how do I build people, or, get people to deliver to the strategy of the business. And you can either build. So meaning that you build your internal people, which is always what you will always be doing, training them, developing, giving them different roles, making people do other things that typically and naturally they wouldn't be comfortable with, but it is part of the growing process. So getting people out of their comfort zones and all that, and that will be building the capacity for the future of the business. You can also decide to buy. Buying is when sometimes you don't have ready talent or ready skill that you actually need, and perhaps you don't have much time to go through the whole process of development, and so you buy, meaning that you go out there and buy a talent basically that you need at that spell of the moment. So it's either you are poaching, you are recruiting from an external source, or headhunting and all that, or you will borrow. And the borrowing strategy is where I need a kind of plug and play person to do this for me, a project to do this for me within this period of time, and through that maybe transfer the knowledge to other people, etc. So you borrow by way of either getting somebody to come into your business on secondment, or as a consultant for a period, or just to fix. Yeah. So I mean HR. So basically, we know all that you're looking at your reward and compensation, making sure that you are benchmarking the market, knowing what your competitors are doing, and where you sit, what kind of percentile, where you sit in the quadrangle, and how that can motivate your people and still make business, meet the business needs, and that sort of thing. So basically, as an HR person, you're looking at how you make the organization become an employer of choice from all the various angles. Moving into Deputy Chief Executive Services role basically was also something that gave me another big profile in terms of, my breadth. And so as a Deputy Chief Executive Services, I was looking after HR, I was looking after real estate, which is like our property, I was looking after our security, I was looking after our academy, so we have an academy, I was looking after the legal department, I was looking after our schools. We have Akosombo International and all the schools that show that. So I was looking after corporate affairs and external relations. So quite a huge portfolio that you are looking after. And you have, heads of departments who are reporting to you. So you kind of do the oversight to make sure that, so these are, as an HR person, these were different professional areas I had to coordinate and work as a Deputy Chief Executive. I think what really helped me again was that my career before VRA had prepared me enormously for that task as well. Because as Director HR in Vodafone, I was responsible for HR, for health and safety, for fleet management, for property, which is like real estate here, for internal communication, for diversity and inclusion and all that. So having been appointed as a Deputy Chief Executive in charge of services, which actually encompassed all this kind of role, wasn't new to me, because as I said, my career before then had actually prepared me, and that is why I keep talking about developing your breadth, just pushing yourself beyond your comfort zones, not limiting yourself to just what you have learned in school or what you think your career is. Because I had done all that before, when I stepped into the role as a Deputy Chief Executive for Services, where actually most of those things were also part of what I had to do, I mean, it became a lot, I kind of stepped into the role by God's grace with a lot of confidence. Now, as an advisor in the Office of the Chief Executive, again, it's a very important, critical, and sensitive role, because you need to think on your feet. You need to be very versatile. You need to be able to have great business communication skills. You need to be ready at any point to give an advice, to give a certain counsel, to be innovative, to provide ideas, to provide counter ideas, to be able to arrive at good, decision. And beyond that, I'm actually also directly responsible on behalf of the chief executive, so I am doing this on behalf of the chief executive, looking after the corporate affairs and external relations, which includes, corporate communication, branding, community relations, external, media relations, and all that. I'm also looking after a program that we have set out as an organization to drive, which is innovation and creativity program. So I'm looking after that. There's a committee, so how we can, make innovation and creativity part of the business. I mean, it is part of the business, let's say, but to really bring it to be part of the very fabric of our business and our people, to create an innovation and creativity culture, to have a mindset that really thinks innovative and dreams creativity, to have people, live a life of innovation. So that is another program which I just started that I'm leading. I'm also, looking into diversity and inclusion and then providing general advisory support for the executives and, the chief executives especially, and all other, executives and, functions. So, like I said, you need to be able to think on your feet. You need to be there at any point in time when you are needed. You need to be available. You need to provide the right, focus in terms of decision making. You need to be able to have alternatives, to have alternative solutions to a problem or challenge. To be able, you need to be confident enough to throw out what your alternatives are, and then, try to work it out with whichever kind of, situation there is, to be able to support with the right advice. And so that's my current role. Yes. A lot of HR practitioners, rightly or wrongly, fortunately or unfortunately, have always thought that the best or the highest level we can ever attain is to be HR director. And most HR people feel that the business will either be about this or about that or about that. And as an HR person, I'm there to provide HR services. So that's the limits. That's what I can get to. But I always believed that for as long as I've said from the beginning, you learn about the business, you get yourself involved in business activities and other corporate, events and meetings and discussions outside of your core area, to make yourself visible, to ask questions, to be curious about what is happening in the business, to try and learn the technical bits about the business and all that. You should be seeing yourself breaking through the roof of just head of HR, director of HR manager, to see what the business can use you for, to see what relevance you can bring, to the business. And for me, that is the kind of thing you talk about, and perhaps people say, oh, ambitious. No, ambitious. Women shouldn't be that. Should be satisfied with that. But no, I think that it is what you have, and I believe that God gives us the skills, God gives us the talent, God gives us the knowledge that we have, not to just checking out or to limit ourselves, but to let it go out there. And so getting appointed to the position of a deputy chief executive, still looking after HR plus many others, I took up that challenge. I took it up. And like I said, I just started drawing from my previous career experiences and then understanding the energy, business, the energy markets, and, how we operate in this. Yes. And thankfully, I did that. And now I'm in an advisory role and it cuts across. So again, I think it is being confident about what you can do, forgetting about the fact that you're a woman and therefore people are limiting you, so you allow them to limit you and you also limit yourself. Learning the business of the business, being visible and ready to learn from other people, and then also giving your best to the business so that whatever gap you have, you get to fill it by what you learn, and whatever gaps that others have, you get to help them to fill it. Then you're actually championing a cause that goes beyond a horizon of, I'm an HR person, I must just get, stuck at that point. The world is your space. I mean, it's not even, you may not necessarily even get that opportunity perhaps in the business that you are in. It could be for any other reason, you may not get it. But if you have a mindset that says that the world is your space, then it means that you can make those strides in other facets of, the corporate world, or, formal or informal, wherever. But don't just limit your mind. Our minds, and say that the key to a closed mind is with the person. So if you have closed your mind, nobody can have any key to open it for you, except you decide that I have the key, I'll open it. Then others can fill you in, support to fill you in, and then you can do whatever your God-given talent allows you to do. It's been amazing. It's been interesting. Yes, because like I said, it's a role that keeps me reading and learning and upskilling myself, and asking questions and being everywhere at every time to make sure that I can be spot on whenever I'm called, to give an advice on whatever I have to give an advice on. So I think that I'm really, really enjoying the role, because it makes you a lot more versatile, and then it gives you the opportunity to also continue to share your thoughts, your opinion, and then, you can't always get it right. Your opinion can't always be the best opinion, but sometimes it sets the ball rolling, So, and that in itself is something, or sometimes really your opinion makes the difference. Or sometimes that advice really helps, or you have to step back. No, I gave this advice. No, let me just step back. No, coming back. No, I think that different dynamics are coming to play, and so maybe we need to look at it. So it makes you a lot agile, and I really love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Yes. I don't think it feels anything different from what I've experienced in my career. In Ghana Telecom, I think I was the first lady director. Okay, and obviously the first lady director, and obviously the first lady director of HR as well. So, you go into the meetings, and doing the management meetings, and you're just like a drop in there. But for as long as I'm there, it's not about gender. It's about what we need to do and how we need to. So, I am somebody who speaks up. I speak up, and if I have an opinion, I'll share it. I'll share it in a very respectful, but I'll still share it. I'll share it, and if I think that I need to push because it's just being relegated, not because it doesn't make sense, but just because guys are talking, no, I'll have to bring it back to the table. So yeah, in Vodafone, I set out as part of my role to make sure that we recruited great women out there to join the management team. And so at the time that I was leaving Vodafone, out of 9 directors, 5 of us were women and 4 were men. No, it was fine. And actually one of those women that I recruited, and I'm always so proud of all these women. You know, just to mention a few. One of them is actually Ms. Patricia Obuna, who is now the chief executive of Vodafone Ghana. So yes, I recruited Patricia. Lucy Quest, Patricia started off, with that in management. Lucy joined us. So Lucy Quest, Uche Ofodile, Uche, also, joined, or Uche joined even before Patricia and Lucy. Fitnat was our legal director. Angela, who later became, one of our directors. Probably forgetting in the one, Agnes Issa, who, one time was even a marketing woman of the year or something. So we kind of pulled great resources, as far as, and so that was really a solid team of women, and we set out actually to develop other women. No wonder today, I'm sure you know about Executive Women's Network, EWN, one of the fantastic, women networks in Ghana. I mean, no wonder I'm a member. If actually Lucy is one of the founding members, I'm a member. Patricia is a member, and all that, and many other great women, Frida Duplan, Patience Achanu, Dr. Edith Damkwa, Neji, Pearl and Summit, and a host of, and it brings me a lot of excitement because we've been able to also, Eunice Buchum and all that, Janice and Mills, and we've been able to bring a lot of women, up. So today you look at the Ghana's most beautiful, and that's present, and then look at the judges, so Janice Nkwamels, Jibodi, Dosu are all members of EWN, and these are great women who together we are imparting and trying to impart, to younger women and society generally. So for me, being a first woman here or there doesn't really matter to me. What it means is that if I get into that, how do I ensure that I use that position to support others who are willing, able and willing? So it is, and I always sound this as, willingness and ability must always go together. If you have all the abilities, you have all the knowledge, you are the smartest person on earth, you have all the skills, you have the knowledge, but you have a wrong attitude and not willing to change that attitude, you can't go far. But if you have the right attitude, the willingness to be able to, move on, people can help you build on your capability and on your abilities to be able to match that and move on. And so there is always the need for people to be mindful of how the kind of attitude and their readiness and willingness, preparedness, to be able to be carried along. Some people, you want to carry them, they get to the middle of the road and it's either too tough or no. But always match your ability with your willingness. It is easier to bring people up with the right abilities and competence and skill than to bring up somebody who is unwilling to change his or her attitude. I always want to learn. I never want to stop learning. People ask, you have this, you have this, you have 3 masters, now you have 2 doctors, now you have this, and I tell you, I'm still learning. I mean, I just actually wrote a final exam in one of my, just last week, and I'm actually ready for another graduation. Yes, I mean, for me, that is how I can improve, because the world is not static. Learning, change is constant. Learning is ongoing. That is a quote from someone. Change is constant. So things will continue to change. The only way you can be, ready for that change and continue to be relevant is when you consider learning as an ongoing process. So there's always a reason for me to want to improve by learning, unlearning, and learning. So I learn. If I have to unlearn something, I'll unlearn it and then I'll relearn. So I'm always constantly reading, taking courses, studying, writing exams, all kinds of things, just to be abreast with. And I also like to learn on the job. I want to be wherever I think I can be, so that I can listen into, if it is something that is strange or new to me, then I can pick ideas and, be able to share that. I like teaching. That is also another way, another principle I have that helps me to learn and to impact. I mean, right from school, when I have to, like discussions or something, I would always want to learn either the topic or whatever. Then, if I have to teach, then I'll teach it, by way of discussion. I can lead it, I'll teach that sort of. And when I'm done, I feel that yes, now it means that knowledge is stuck. It means that my colleagues must have asked me 1,001 questions and I needed to explain, because I said I have learned it, to explain. And so if I got it wrong, I picked the right answer from somebody. Or if I got it right, I have consolidated, that. So I teach. So even up to today, I still teach. I've been an adjunct lecturer before, and I still do occasional guest lecturing in some of our, schools and universities. I teach at the VRA Academy. I develop curriculum and teach. I take up speaking appointments. I take up mentoring sessions. Anything that will bring me into that space of teaching, by which way I learn, I take advantage of that. Is there a powerful woman? I would rather, I say, an influential woman. And I'm trying to say this because, you see, how do we describe power? I'm powerful. I can do it all. I'm the repository of all knowledge and abilities. If, for instance, that is the thinking, maybe it's not, but I'm saying if that is the thinking, I wouldn't then say a powerful woman. I would rather say an influential woman. A woman who tries to soak knowledge, develop skills, have emotional intelligence, and is able to, kind of deliver that to impact others and grow them. So by way of influencing their way of doing things, influencing, their confidence level, influencing their abilities, influencing even their thoughts that they can do. Yes, for me, if there's something I would want, or there's something I would not call a powerful woman, perhaps I would rather say a woman who is able to influence others positively, to make them grow in their own way, to be able to also impact others, so that it becomes a multiplying effect, where you grow people, not to clone them to be you, because that is impossible, but to grow them to come out with their unique, their own uniqueness. A powerful woman in that sense, who I'll call an influential woman, is that person who is able to accept the fact that you need to lead. And if you have to lead, you need to have followers. And if people will follow you, it means that you are a role model for them. It means that there is something that they can take out of your life. A powerful woman is that person who comes to the level of sharing her successes and failures, experiences, life learning experiences with others, who can then take a cue from all that, so that they will not perhaps make those mistakes again, or the learning curve for them will be shorter, faster, so that society can benefit from them, other women can benefit from them. So I mean, that is how I will situate that powerful woman. I mean, that woman should be able to say that I am not a superwoman. A powerful woman, an influential woman, it should not be a superwoman. You can't do it all by yourself. You need the support of others. So you need to build a strong network. Professional network, social network, family network, society networks, church network. I mean, all the various networks that you can tap from. And when you need help, raise up your hand and say, I need help. I need somebody to come and support me at home. Don't think that it is wrong. It is it's a wrong thing for, I mean, a woman, she has people to help her home, or, and so you feel that you want to do it all. You break down. When you need help, let others come in and help you. And for me, all those things will culminate into what you want to describe as a power woman or powerful woman. Yes, but it's not just about there. It's about you. And one thing, it is that woman who builds a network with people here, people at her level, people below her level, so that as we go, these younger ones, you build a network to step in, and then you can always get a support, and then you keep going on. Again, it's a crisis that is global. That's one thing we need to understand. It's a crisis that is not limited to a particular country, a particular society. So when we accept it that way, and obviously in Ghana, we are getting our fair share of that. As HR practitioners, I think that we need to work with our employers very closely to be able to come out with strategies that will support our employees and also keep the business going. So if, for instance, we want to come out with policies, like, let's say, let's give some little financial support to all our employees to cushion them. Let us do it and put forward that paper that guarantees that our employees at least will get some cushion. At the same time, it will not drain the entire coffers of the employer or the business. So we meet each other halfway and support ourselves. Again, let's look at the fact that transportation cost, everybody is talking about. Fuel cost, everybody is talking about it. If it is possible that as an HR person, you can do some analysis, and that is what we need to do. We need to be analytical, because at data analytics, HR analytics is what's driving executive decision. You need to analyze the fact that, is it possible that, based on my analysis, perhaps I've come to these alternatives, that perhaps some people can start working from home, and then we can, have shifts, just as perhaps we did in COVID. How did we succeed in COVID? Maybe people were still working from home. We still had tools to monitor them. Some, shifts, etc. here and there. Can we revisit that kind of model so that people may not have to come to work every day, Monday to Friday, and spend so much on maybe fuel, and come to work already frustrated and upset, even though it's not anybody's fault. Be upset and therefore will not deliver the best to the organization. If we did that also, how do we ensure that the right mechanisms are in place for the employer to ensure that people are not working from home as a holiday, but they are, working seriously, outcomes and expected outcomes and deliverables are being, So HR people, we need to just be innovative. There are so many little ways of doing it. How do we even engage our people, send the right communication, meet them, tell them that this situation, we are not in it alone. It's not even a national problem alone. It is a global problem. So how do we even now, in this situation where we are facing these challenges, how do we rather have a mindset that says, let's double our productivity levels so we can have more, in this situation, and perhaps continue to get a cushioning a lot more cushioning as time goes or until things settle. So many, ways of trying to come up with various models from HR point of view, with supported by analytics that can help executives take the right decision. But the bottom line of it is we need to accept that as a country, as an organization, as everybody, we are in it together. And everybody's piece of innovation, piece of creativity, piece of advice, piece of doing it differently will definitely be, all put together, will support our economy, our nation, to get out of the woods, and perhaps to be supportive in the world, to get out of the woods. And then we have a better society, a less stressful society, and then we can do many other things. So I believe that it's not a situation that only one group of people or just leadership should be concerned about. It is everybody's business. So we can't just throw all at one person and expect that it should be done. Everybody should pick, bits and pieces of that. And I think that if we did that, if it's organizations with HR leading, it should be able to still make great strides.